Welcome to my CyberPanel security video. You've successfully installed your CyberPanel. Next, we are going to secure our CyberPanel. There are some basic security settings we have to do, or configurations we have to do on our CyberPanel in order to strengthen the security of our panel. For this, we're going to log into our CyberPanel and continue from there. So enter my details, also enter your login details. Make sure you're on your CyberPanel login page or login URL, all right? So I'm going to log in and we are on CyberPanel. First, the very first thing we have to do is to modify the default user that came with CyberPanel, all right? So let's click on users and click on modify user. From there, click on this drop down and click on admin. Scroll down and want to remove this default first name and last name. So I'll remove it and put my name. Remove this and put your name, all right? Want to also remove this email and put a legitimate email, all right? So just put your valid email there. For demo purposes, I'll just put this email, but you have to put a legit email. Scroll down and generate password for this user. Now take note, this is the password you'll be using to log in as an admin from this moment moving forward. So copy this somewhere and paste it somewhere, because we'll be logging in with this password. Okay, you can generate new password by clicking on generate and pick the one you like. So I'm going to choose this and I'm going to save it somewhere. After that, I'll click on use. From there, if you want to enable two-factor authentication, it's important you install what we call Google Authenticator. Okay, it's an app, Google Authenticator. And after that, when you click here, this is going to, you see a QR code, scan it, okay, in order to enable two-factor. All right, I'll create a video on this same channel showing you how to enable two-factor authentication for a user in CyberPanel. So if you need that feature, just click on it, scan it with your two-factor, or your two-factor app. Google Authenticator is a good one. Now leave it as high and then click on modify. An account with username admin is successfully modified. The reason we want to enable two-factor authentication is admin is going to be our default user. Right now we can't change that, okay? So admin is your default user. So having two-factor authentication on your login page for CyberPanel is very crucial, all right? And this will help strengthen the security for your panel. After modifying that user and generating a new password for this user, and we generated the new password because CyberPanel will automatically give us a password. It's important we modify that, so we just change the password. Let's now log out and try logging in with the new password we just created. So I'll click here, enter my username, and I also enter my password, the one that I just generated, which is this one, okay? And I'll put that there and click on sign in, and we should be able to log in successfully. Now this confirms that the password that we just generated, the new password, is working fine, so we can move forward with the other security measures. So once this is done, we are now going to secure our SSH port or SSH portal. All right, we log into our server via SSH. Now, if you have watched my security video, then that part of the security configuration is not all that necessary again, because you already did that. So let's go to security, scroll down and click on secure SSH. And because this server I did not secure, I did not change the default SSH, that's why you are seeing that 22. So if I put this, I'm still using the default 22. All right, but I assume you've changed that default 22 to something else. If you have not done that, then it's important you watch this video, okay, this part of the training, because we want to change the default SSH port for our connection. Also, if you've watched that my security video I recommended you to watch, then this part you don't need to do anything at all. Okay, you don't need to do anything at all. But if you have not watched that video, then make sure you click here to disable root login. It's important you disable root login. We don't want to log in with a root user, so just click on that, and the system itself will disable root login, and just click on save. And right now, no user can log into your server with a default root as a username. So we're going to change the port 22 if yours is still showing 22. The way we do that inside CyberPanel is, we want to scroll down to where we see security and click on firewall. We want to add a new port, or we want to open a new port. So we're going to click here and type SSH or custom SSH. Click here and pick TCP. Copy this, paste it here. The port, we want to open a new port. The new port you want to use as the default SSH. So I'm going to give it 75 and click on add. We have allowed port 75. Scroll down and you should see it here, which is a new port we just opened. Now this port, we want to go and enable it inside SSH. So click on secure SSH, and here we want to remove it and put that 75 there. Scroll down and click on save. So right now we've closed port 22. Okay, so 22 is no longer a port for our connection. What we'll do is, let's try that. So I'll try connecting back with port 22, and you see connecting to this host via port 22 does not exist. Okay, it will not work. But let's try connecting with the 75. Enter. Now, in case you come across this error while logging in, this is normal. I reinstalled my operating system, my Linux, my Ubuntu server, okay, my Ubuntu's operating system, and the keys or the fingerprint that were inside that server has been wiped off. So my PC, the keys on my PC are now different from the keys on my server. That's why there's this error. So I have a video on my channel that address this issue, which is this one. Okay, but if you want to solve that right now, in case you have that issue, then just put SSH dash keygen, all right, keygen, which is key generation, capital R, okay, and then we want to put our IP address, which is this one. So we're going to assign new keys, new fingerprints, not keys. So assign our new fingerprint, hit enter, and that's it. Okay, that's all there is to it. Just clear, sorry, capitals, just clear. And now we're going to Connect once again to our server. All right, so let's log into our server with our new port. Assign new keys. Keys added. Now let's enter our password for our server. And we are successfully logged in to our server. Let's disconnect, clear, and try logging into our server with port 22. And this connection is not possible with port 22. Okay, let's now go back, and we are done with the SSH part. We've disabled root login. If we try login to our server with root, it's not going to be possible. Okay, next what we're going to do is we want to enable mod security. So scroll down on CyberPanel, click on mod security config. Because I changed my network provider, my IP has changed. So when you see this error, don't worry, just reload the page or try relogging into CyberPanel. It's normal, you see that occasionally. So I'll log in with my admin and password and click on sign in. Now let's go to mod sec or mod security. So go to security and go to mod security config. Mod security is not enabled. Let's click on install now. Wait patiently for mod sec to be installed. Mod sec is installed. The page will refresh in 3 seconds. Make sure everything, just leave it as they are. Okay, scroll down and go to mod sec rules. Do not touch anything here, just leave it as they are and go to mod sec rules pack. Enable this. And just leave it as it is. Okay, but you can click on configure, scroll, and we want everything to be as they are. Okay, I'm only showing you where to find that, so just enable it and leave it. Okay, go to CSF, install CSF, reload this page, and CFS also has its own firewall that you can use, and this is our 75 that we get added. So test mode, we want to off test mode, and right now we've disabled test mode. Now CSF is protecting your server. Now if you want to use the CFS firewall, you can enable it. Enabling this means UFW will be disabled, which stands for uncomplicated firewall, which is a default firewall we have on our server. So if you want to use the firewall that comes with CSF, enabling this will disable your UFW firewall. That's your uncomplicated or your default firewall. We've successfully enabled firewall on CSF. Now let's go to our server and check our UFW to see if UFW is protecting our server. That's our uncomplicated firewall. So we'll log into our server. Okay, so when we tried logging in, it's not working. This is because with our CSW, port 75 is no longer available after the activation of firewall. So we want to make sure we add port 75 to this list. So let's put 75. Can come here and add 75. Okay. Right, so let's add 75 here. Port 75. Save changes. And I will save changes here too. So right now we have port 75 here and here. Let's go back to login. Try logging in again. And this time it should be successful because we've now added port 75. And you see that? Now let's enter our password for our server. Let's try that once again. Let me cancel and we log in. Let me grab my password, enter my password, and we should log in successfully now. Okay, good. So we've enabled firewall on CSW. If you want to disable CSW, you can click here to disable it, but I will not recommend you to disable it. So there are two options. You can use the default firewall with your server or on your server. You can also use the CSW, which comes with CyberPanel. All right. So let's go to our server now and check the status of UFW. So sudo system ctl status of UFW. We enter our password. And see right now UFW is now disabled. This is because we're using another firewall called inside CSF. So if we disable this firewall right now and check the status of UFW, right, it's still off. So we have to now enable this firewall for it to protect our server. And now because we have CSF enabled, if we come down here and go to firewall, the default firewall for our CyberPanel is now CSF. Firewall status is disabled, so let's click on start to enable firewall back. Wait patiently. Because our firewall is restarting. You can reload this page and firewall status is enabled and running. You can see more data on this page. Now if you want to allow or deny certain or block certain ports, IPs on your server from accessing your server, you can simply allow that by putting that IP here and click on quick allow. Okay, you can also block it by entering the IP you want to block here by clicking on quick deny. For most part, you want to leave everything as they are. All right. Let's go back to our CSF So go to security and CFS. Click on CSF. And with this option, you can allow an IP here. You can also block an IP here, just like you do on the other interface I just showed you. So any IP you want to allow, just put here and allow. Click on LFD, and this is still coming soon. Just ignore it. So right now we're using this and that. So what I want you to take away from this video is you modifying the user, the default user. So go to modify and modify that user. If not, your account will get hacked because it's using the default CyberPanel's data. So we want to change that, and that's what we just did. We've changed that. Next, we've changed our SSH port, and we allowed that port inside. We did that inside secure SSH, and then we changed that. I also asked you to disable permit root login, and we did that. Okay. One final thing we are yet to do is Immunify 360. This is a paid solution or software. So let's go to the AV. Click on install. And this is used to scan server for virus. So just wait patiently. Now we are done installing it. ImunifyAV not working. If for some reason it's not working, you can reinstall it using the commands below. So let's try accessing it to see if it's working. And if it's working, then there's no need taking further action. Let's enter our username and password. And these are the same details for your server. So enter my username. So don't confuse the details here. This is just your server's login username and password. So remember, this is the root user I created. So I'll just take that one and we'll paste it here. And the password is my server's password. So I'll enter that here and log in. Enter and log in. And right now, there's nothing found. So this will continue detecting viruses, malware detected by ImunifyAV. Let's log out, and that's it. Go back to this page and reload it. Okay, it's working fine. You can click here to access it. Now, when it comes to security, it's an endless topic. Because of this, occasionally you have to update your server by running sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade. You have to also keep an eye on CyberPanel's forum or community for the latest details or latest news. So just go to community and explore what is going on. It's important to follow their news and know what's going on. If not, you'll be left out on certain security patches. Also, make sure you continuously update your CyberPanel itself. Not the server, but the CyberPanel software itself. So I'll create a video showing you how to update your CyberPanel itself. Keep an eye on the channel. So we'll be updating the CyberPanel itself, and we'll also be updating our server itself. Other people recommend or suggest that you change this port, this default 8090 port, but I don't think that is all that necessary. It's not necessary, because after following all these security measures, having only this port allowed is not a big deal at all. Okay, so the most important thing is your SSH connection. Make sure it is you're using a default port, a different or custom port, and all those ports that you don't want or you don't need, you close them. Okay, all those ports that you think you don't need, you close them, and that's all there is to it. So I'll take you to CSF. From there, scroll down, and any port you think you don't need, you close it. So something like this 22 is no longer needed because already we've changed that 22 port, which was our default port. So we've changed it to 75. So it's not necessary we leaving it or we leave it open. We close that. So any port you think you don't need, you close it. But some ports are very important for your website to work. Something like port 80, which is HTTP, you don't have to close it. Something like 443, which is HTTPS, you don't need to close it, because if you close it, your website will never have a secured connection. It cannot even connect open. All right, so make sure you research on these ports, and those ports that you don't need, make sure you close them. All right, you only open it when you need it. It's as simple as that. And then we'll just save, and we save this one too. We've closed that port 22. Now 21 is an FTP, file transfer protocol. If you don't want to use a file transfer protocol application, or you don't want to allow file transfer protocol function on your CyberPanel, you close it. But it's not, do not close it, because let's say you want to run this as a shared hosting environment and you want to create accounts for users, then you definitely want to allow that option, because people will be trying to transfer files in and out of your panel. So do not close 21. You can search on YouTube or Google about these ports, what they do, right? And only allow those that are necessary. Now in my next video, I'll be showing you how to host your very first website on CyberPanel, hopefully WordPress website. Do not miss that video. So try to join the community by subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Hoping to catch you in my next video. Bye bye and take care.